Commander Sarah Chen had seen her share of strange phenomena during her 15 years with the Terran Defense Force, but nothing quite like this. The massive ship that had just appeared in high Earth orbit wasn't just alien. It was impossible. Its crystalline structure seemed to bend light itself, and its size dwarfed anything humanity had ever constructed. "All stations, maintain alert status," she ordered, watching as her crew worked with practiced efficiency aboard the TDF Hyperion. Earth's most advanced warship suddenly felt like a child's toy in comparison to the visitor above them. "Any response to our hails?" "Negative, Commander," Lieutenant Rivera reported from communications. "But we're detecting something. It's not radio, not quantum entanglement. I've never seen anything like it." Before Chen could respond, every screen on the bridge flickered to life simultaneously. The image that appeared wasn't a transmission. It was somehow being projected directly into their visual cortexes. A being of pure energy stood before them, its form constantly shifting between states of matter. "People of Earth," it spoke, its words bypassing their ears and materializing directly in their minds. "I am Ambassador Nexus of the Galactic Concordat. We come not as conquerors or allies, but as supplicants. The galaxy faces extinction, and you may be our only hope." Chen maintained her composure, though her mind raced with implications. "I am Commander Chen of the Terran Defense Force. Please explain." The energy beam's form pulsed with what might have been anxiety. "We are a federation of over 10,000 species, masters of physics you haven't yet discovered. We have reshaped stars and built artificial worlds. Yet we face an enemy we cannot comprehend, let alone defeat. We call them the Void Eaters." Holographic images filled the bridge. Entire solar systems being consumed by something that defied description. It wasn't darkness, exactly. It was the absence of existence itself, spreading like cancer through the galaxy. "Our civilizations evolved in peace," Nexus continued. "We solved our differences through diplomacy, advanced through cooperation. We have no concept of warfare, no understanding of violence. The Void Eaters exploit this. They cannot be reasoned with, cannot be appeased. They simply consume." "And you think we can help?" Chen asked, already suspecting the answer. "Your world, Earth. We classified it as a death world. Your gravity would crush most species. Your weather patterns would tear them apart. Your biodiversity includes countless lethal organisms, yet you not only survived, you thrived. You turned survival itself into an art form." The ambassador's form shifted again. "Your species possesses something unique in the galaxy, the ability to face annihilation and fight back. Where we see impossibility, you see challenge. Where we accept defeat, you find alternatives. Your history is filled with violence, yes, but also with an unmatched drive to protect and preserve life." Chen looked around at her crew. Humans had dreamed of first contact for centuries, imagining advanced beings coming to lift them into a golden age of technology. Instead, they got this, a desperate plea from godlike aliens who needed humanity's capacity for warfare. "The Void Eaters have consumed 30% of known space," Nexus continued. "Our models predict total galactic extinction within 50 years. We offer you everything, all our technology, all our knowledge. In return, we ask you to teach us how to fight, how to survive, how to become something more than prey." Chen stood, her decision made. "I'll need to contact Earth's governing council." But speaking as a soldier who's sworn to protect life, she met the ambassador's shifting gaze. "I think it's time humanity showed the galaxy what Deathworlders can do." The energy being's form brightened. "There is something else you should know, Commander. We've been watching your entertainment, your fiction. Your species has imagined countless scenarios of alien invasion, of humanity fighting against impossible odds. You've been practicing for this moment in your minds for generations." Chen couldn't help but smile. "Science fiction authors of Earth, you're about to be vindicated." As emergency meetings were called and Earth's military leaders gathered, Chen looked out at the impossible ship above them. Humanity had spent its entire history fighting itself, nature, the very limits of physics. Now they had a chance to turn that hard-won knowledge towards something greater, becoming the guardians of a galaxy that had never needed to learn the art of war. The Void Eaters were about to learn what happened when they threatened a species forged in the crucible of a death world. Humanity was going to war, not for conquest or resources, but to protect a galaxy that had once feared them. And they were going to teach that galaxy how to fight back. Major Marcus Rodriguez stood in the briefing room of the newly christened DDF Chimera, Earth's first warship incorporating Concordat technology. The holographic display showed their target, a research station trapped in orbit around a dying star, with the Void Eaters closing in from 3 vectors. "This is a suicide mission," Admiral Wei stated bluntly, addressing the gathered strike team. The Concordat's fastest ships couldn't reach that station in time. They think it's impossible. That's exactly why we're going to do it. Rodriguez studied the tactical display. The station housed over 3,000 researchers from various Concordat species, all of them working on weapons to fight the Void Eaters. All of them about to die, unless humanity could prove that impossible was just another word for hasn't been done yet. "We've integrated their quantum drive with our inertial dampeners," Chief Engineer Patel explained, her dark eyes gleaming with fierce pride. "They thought we were insane when we suggested it. Their ships can't handle the gravitational stress of such tight maneuvers. But we evolved on a heavy gravity world. We can take it." The plan was audacious, arguably insane. They would slingshot around the dying star, using its gravitational pull to accelerate beyond what the quantum drive could safely manage. The G-forces would be devastating, lethal to any Concordat species, but humans had been pushing their bodies to the limit since they first looked up at the stars and decided to reach them. "One more thing," Admiral Wei added. "The station's atmospheric composition is toxic to humans. Their environment would kill us in minutes. So we do this in suits with limited oxygen. If anything goes wrong..." She didn't need to finish the sentence. They all knew the stakes. This wasn't just a rescue mission. It was humanity's chance to prove they deserved the trust the Concordat had placed in them. The Chimera dropped out of quantum space directly into hell. The dying star filled half the view screen, its coronas writhing like angry serpents. The station was a crystalline structure that would have been beautiful if it wasn't about to be torn apart by the star's increasingly erratic gravitational fields. "Void Eater signatures detected," Tactical Officer Zhang reported. 15 minutes until they reached the station. Rodriguez checked his suit one final time as his team assembled in the drop bay. The Chimera would never survive landing on the station. They'd have to spacewalk across a gap of superheated plasma, with only their suit's shields between them and instantaneous death. "Remember your training," he told his team. "We're Deathworlders. Everything in our history has prepared us for this moment." The Chimera's engines screamed as they began their slingshot maneuver. G-forces mounted, pushing beyond what even their enhanced inertial dampeners could fully compensate for. Blood pounded in Rodriguez's ears as his vision began to gray out. Around him, his team endured, their bodies conditioned by evolution to withstand pressures that would liquefy most sentient species. "Station in range." Captain Chen's voice cut through the pain. "Drop bay opening in 3, 2, 1. They launched into space, their suits' thrusters pushing them toward the station. The dying star's radiation battered their shields, but the hybrid human Concordat technology held. Behind them, the Void Eater's approach cast impossible shadows through space itself. The station's emergency airlock yielded to human ingenuity, or more specifically, to shake charges that would have horrified the peace-loving Concordat engineers. Inside, they found chaos. The station's inhabitants had never faced a crisis of this magnitude. They were brilliant researchers, but they had no concept of emergency protocols or evacuation procedures. "Listen up." Rodriguez's voice boomed through his suit's external speakers, automatically translated into frequencies the various species could comprehend. We're here to get you out, but you need to follow our instructions exactly. This is what humans do. We've spent our entire history learning how to survive the unsurvivable. The evacuation was a masterclass in controlled chaos. The human team moved with precision, born from countless drills and real-world disasters, herding the panicked researchers toward emergency quantum pods. When the station's artificial gravity failed, they adapted. When a solar flare threatened to overwhelm their shields, they improvised. When fear threatened to paralyze the evacuees, they inspired. The Void Eaters reached the station just as the last pod launched. Rodriguez watched through the Chimera's sensors as the crystalline structure was consumed, erased from existence itself. But they had done it. Over 3,000 researchers saved, a feat the Concordat had deemed impossible. Message from Concordat High Command. Communications reported as they limped away from the dying star. They're asking how many of their people we managed to save. Tell them all of them, Rodriguez replied, his voice hoarse from the strain. Tell them this is what humanity brings to the galaxy. We don't accept no-win scenarios. We don't leave people behind. And we're just getting started. In the ship's medical bay, being treated for radiation exposure and G-force trauma, Rodriguez watched as the Concordat researchers looked at their human rescuers with new understanding. They had always known humans were different, had evolved on a harsh world that forced them to become strong. But now, they understood what that really meant. Humanity wasn't just physically capable of surviving where others couldn't. They had turned survival itself into an art form, transformed the very traits that made them dangerous into something the galaxy desperately needed. Protectors who could face the impossible and find a way through. Captain Diana Patul stood in the sweltering Arizona desert, watching as her unusual trainees attempted the obstacle course. Their crystalline forms shimmered under Earth's harsh sun, each movement a struggle against gravity they weren't evolved to handle. But they were trying, and that meant everything. Again, she called out, her voice firm but encouraging. Remember what we discussed about momentum. Your bodies are stronger than you think. You just need to learn to push past the discomfort. The Concordat had established training facilities across Earth's most challenging environments. The desert facility specialized in teaching survival under extreme conditions. Other bases operated in the Arctic, deep ocean installations, and high-altitude mountain ranges, each location chosen to break the Concordat species out of their comfort zones. Instructor, a crystalline being named Echo, communicated through their translator. We have observed that humans derive satisfaction from voluntary hardship. This concept remains difficult for us to grasp. Patul smiled, remembering her own basic training years ago. Pain is information, she explained. It tells you where your limits are and how to surpass them. Every species has potential they haven't tapped because they never needed to. Earth forced us to tap ours centuries ago. Above them, a Concordat ship shimmered into view, its quantum drive humming with impossible physics. Another delivery of advanced technology in exchange for more lessons in warfare and survival. The trade seemed uneven. Faster than light travel in exchange for teaching basic combat tactics, but the Concordat valued these lessons above all their technological wonders. In orbit, the first generation of hybrid warships was taking shape. The Concordat's elegant technology merged with humanity's pragmatic engineering, creating vessels that combined the best of both worlds. Where alien ships were beautiful but fragile, these new craft were built to take punishment and keep fighting. We're receiving reports of another Void Eater advance, her assistant reported. They've adapted to our previous tactics. They're learning. Patel nodded grimly. The enemy's ability to evolve its strategies had surprised everyone, except humans. They understood adaptation was the key to survival. It's what Earth had taught them over millions of years. Gather everyone, she ordered. Today's lesson is about asymmetric warfare. When your enemy is stronger, you don't match their strength. You find their weaknesses. The training session that followed would have horrified the peaceful Concordat of just a few months ago. Humans taught their alien students about guerrilla tactics, about using terrain to their advantage, about the psychological aspects of warfare. But more importantly, they taught them about the warrior's spirit, the will to stand and fight when every instinct screamed to run. In her office that evening, Paddle reviewed the latest reports from other training facilities. The Arctic base had made a breakthrough in teaching energy-based life forms how to maintain combat effectiveness in extreme cold. The deep ocean facility had helped gaseous species overcome their fear of liquid environments. Each small victory brought them closer to creating an army capable of facing the Void Eaters. "Captain," Echo approached her as she finished her reports. "We have been studying human history. Your species has fought countless wars against itself, yet you've never lost the capacity for compassion. How is this possible?" Patil considered the question carefully. "Because the best warriors don't fight for glory or hatred," she explained. "They fight to protect. Every human soldier learns that power without purpose is just violence. We're teaching you to fight not because we want you to become like us, but because we want you to survive, to remain who you are." The crystalline being's form pulsed with understanding. "We feared your species when we first discovered Earth. Now we understand. Evolution made you strong, so you could protect those who never needed strength." A priority alert flashed across Patil's screen. The Void Eaters had developed a new attack pattern, one that threatened to overwhelm the Concordat's defensive lines. They needed to deploy the first wave of trained alien warriors sooner than planned. "Are we ready?" Echo asked, sensing her concern. "No," Patil admitted. "But readiness is a luxury we rarely get in real combat. Sometimes you have to take what training you have and trust that when the moment comes, you'll find strength you didn't know you had." She looked out at the training grounds, where dozens of alien species practiced human combat techniques under the merciless desert sun. They weren't humans, would never be humans, but they were becoming something new. A fusion of Concordat wisdom and human resilience. Together, they might just be enough to save the galaxy. The upcoming battle would prove whether humanity's greatest export, the art of warfare, could truly transform a peaceful galaxy into one capable of defending itself. Either way, there was no turning back. The universe had called for warriors, and humanity had answered. Admiral Sarah Chen stood in the ruins of what had once been the Concordat's greatest shipyard, now just another graveyard in space. The combined human-alien fleet had fought bravely, implementing every tactic humanity had taught them. And they had failed. Spectacularly. Casualty reports from the Arcturus sector, her AI assistant reported. 40% of our hybrid fleet destroyed. 60% of Concordat forces lost. The Void Eaters have developed immunity to our quantum weaponry. Chen watched the holographic replay of the battle, her mind racing. The enemy had adapted faster than anyone predicted, turning their own advanced technology against them. The hybrid ships, once thought to be the perfect synthesis of human resilience and Concordat technology, had proven insufficient. They're calling it the Arcturus Massacre. Ambassador Nexus materialized beside her, their energy form dimmed with grief. The Concordat Council is considering surrender, a final evacuation to another galaxy. "Running away isn't the answer," Chen replied, her voice hard. "The Void Eaters will just follow. We need to think differently." She paused the hologram on a particular moment of the battle. "Look here, when our ships were destroyed, the Void Eaters consumed their energy. They feed on order, on patterns, on the very physics we use to fight them." The ambassador's form flickered. "Yes, our scientists have confirmed they absorbed structured energy, organized matter. It's why our weapons only make them stronger." Chen smiled grimly. "Then maybe we've been going about this all wrong. We've been trying to upgrade our technology, to match their power with greater power. But that's not how humans survived Earth." She called an emergency meeting of the Joint Human Concordat War Council. Representatives from both civilizations gathered in the quantum-linked chamber, their forms either present or projected across light years. The Void Eaters aren't invincible, Chen began. They're hungry. And like any predator, they have evolved to hunt specific prey. In this case, they hunt order itself. Our technology, our quantum physics, our carefully structured battle formations, we're serving ourselves up as a perfect meal. She projected images from Earth's history, prehistoric humans surviving against larger predators, guerrilla fighters defeating superior forces, bacteria developing antibiotic resistance. On Earth, we learned that when you can't match your enemy's strength, you change the rules of engagement. What are you suggesting? A Concordat elder asked. We stop trying to outfight them. Instead, we give them indigestion. Chen brought up schematics of a new weapon design. My engineers have been working with Concordat scientists on something we call the chaos drive. It doesn't create energy. It destroys pattern. Introduces quantum uncertainty on a massive scale. The Concordat representatives recoiled at the concept. Their entire civilization was built on order, on predictability, on the elegant dance of quantum mechanics. What Chen proposed was anathema to everything they believed in. You want to weaponize entropy itself, Ambassador Nexus realized. Create zones where physics breaks down, where cause and effect become suggestions rather than laws. Exactly. Chen's eyes gleamed. The Void Eaters feed on structure. Let's give them chaos instead. We've spent months teaching your people to fight like humans. Now it's time to fight like Earth itself. Messy, unpredictable, and absolutely ruthless in its drive to survive. The next hours were filled with heated debate. The Concordat feared the weapon could destroy the very fabric of space-time. Humans argued that space-time was already being destroyed. At least this way. They chose where and how. There's something else, Chen added as the arguments wound down. We'll need volunteers to deliver these weapons, the zones of chaos they create. Nothing structured can survive inside them. No ships, no matter how advanced. No ordered matter of any kind. Understanding dawned in the chamber. They would be sacrificing ships and crews to create wounds in reality itself, wounds that might hurt the Void Eaters more than any quantum weapon ever could. I volunteer the Hyperion, Chen said into the silence. My crew already stands ready. One by one, other human commanders stepped forward. Then, to everyone's surprise, Concordat captains began volunteering as well. They had learned more than just combat tactics from humanity. They had learned the true meaning of sacrifice. As the council dispersed to begin preparations, Ambassador Nexus approached Chen privately. This plan, it goes against everything we are, everything we've built. I know, Chen replied softly, but sometimes survival means becoming something new. Humanity didn't thrive on Earth by staying the same. We adapted, we evolved, we survived. Now it's the galaxy's turn to evolve, or die. The ambassador's form pulsed with what might have been understanding. You're not just teaching us to fight, they realized. You're teaching us to embrace chaos itself. Chen looked out at the starfield, where the first chaos drives were being constructed. The universe is not an orderly place, she said. It's wild and messy, and sometimes cruel. But it's also beautiful in its chaos. The Void Eaters are about to learn why humans never feared the darkness. We learned to make it our home. The void of space rippled with impossible colors as the combined fleet of humanity and the Concordat gathered for their final stand. At its center, the TDF Hyperion hung like a sword poised to strike, its hull bristling with chaos drives, weapons that defied the very laws of physics they were built to protect. Admiral Chen watched the tactical display as hundreds of ships moved into position. Human vessels flew alongside crystalline Concordat ships, their formations deliberately irregular, embracing the unpredictability that had become their greatest weapon. Void Eater emergence detected, Lieutenant Rivera announced. They're different, larger than anything we've encountered before. The enemy appeared as tears in reality itself, vast beyond comprehension. Where before they had been content to consume systems one at a time, now they came as a unified force, drawn by the concentration of ordered energy before them. They took the bait, Chen said quietly. All ships, execute Operation Wildfire. The fleet scattered in seemingly random directions, but there was purpose in their chaos. Each movement had been calculated not by computers, but by human intuition and Concordat wisdom working in concert. They weren't just fighting the Void Eaters, they were dancing with entropy itself. Chaos drive carriers, move to primary positions, Chen ordered. Remember, once the drives activate, there's no coming back. May whatever gods exist watch over your souls. Echo's crystalline form shimmered beside her on the bridge. The former trainee had become one of their most valued tactical advisors, bringing Concordat insight to human warfare. We used to think order was the natural state of the universe, they said. You taught us that chaos is just as essential. Both are needed for life to flourish. The Void Eaters struck first, their non-existence spreading like cancer through space. But this time, instead of fighting back with quantum weapons and ordered energy, the fleet responded with calculated disorder. Ships spiraled in impossible patterns, their drives leaving trails of broken physics in their wake. First wave of chaos drives. Activate, Chen commanded. Across the battlefield, volunteer ships disappeared in blossoms of pure impossibility. Where they had been, reality itself began to unravel, not into nothingness, but into something worse. Zones where the fundamental laws of the universe ceased to function. The Void Eaters recoiled. For the first time in their ancient existence, they encountered something they couldn't simply consume and adapt to. How do you devour chaos itself? Second wave, execute Maneuver Terra, Chen ordered, naming the tactic after humanity's cradle. The remaining ships began a complex dance, herding the Void Eaters toward the chaos zones like prehistoric humans, driving mammoths into tar pits. Admiral, Echo's translator struggled to convey their excitement. The largest entities are beginning to destabilize. The chaos, it's not just blocking them, it's infecting them. Concordat vessels reporting severe structural damage from chaos exposure, Rivera reported. Human ships holding together better. Our inherent adaptability is providing some protection. Press the advantage, Chen ordered. Final wave of chaos drives. Activate on my mark. She paused, watching as the largest Void Eater writhed in apparent agony. Echo, would you do the honors? Your people have earned this. The crystalline being's form pulsed with fierce pride. All ships, this is Echo. In the name of every species that has known fear, every world that has known loss, activate final wave. Show them why the galaxy now fears the children of Earth. The explosion of chaos that followed would be studied by scientists for centuries to come. The Void Eaters, creatures of pure order and consumption, found themselves consumed by something they couldn't understand or resist. One by one, they collapsed in upon themselves, their organized structure dissolving into primal chaos. Hours later, as the dust settled and reality began to stabilize, Chen stood on the Hyperion's observation deck with Echo and Ambassador Nexus. The Void Eaters are gone, Nexus confirmed. Not destroyed, transformed. The chaos zones have reduced them to their component particles, scattered them across space in patterns too random for them to reform. We've surveyed the damage, Echo added. Nearly 40% of our combined fleet lost. But the threat is over. The galaxy is safe. Chen nodded slowly. Not just safe change. This victory wasn't just about defeating the Void Eaters. It was about proving that order and chaos, peace and war, creation and destruction, they're all part of the same dance. The galaxy needed both our peoples to survive. Concordat wisdom and human ferocity, working as one. What happens now? Echo asked. Now, Chen smiled. Now we rebuild. We take what we've learned from each other and create something new. The Concordat has learned the art of controlled chaos, while humanity has gained the wisdom to temper our warlike nature. together, we'll be better guardians than either of us could have been alone. As if to emphasize her point, a new ship appeared in orbit, the first of a new class, its design a perfect fusion of human and Concordat philosophy. Not a warship, but a guardian vessel built to protect and explore. The galaxy once feared us, Chen mused, called us Deathworlders, saw our warfare as barbarism. But sometimes the universe needs warriors who understand both the price of violence and the value of peace. That's humanity's gift to the stars, not just the strength to fight, but the wisdom to know when and why to do so. The stars shimmered above them, no longer threatened by all-consuming void. In their light, human and alien stood together, forever changed by their collaboration. They had faced extinction and emerged stronger, not just surviving, but evolving into something greater than either civilization had imagined possible. The Deathworlders had answered the galaxy's call for help, and in doing so, they had transformed both themselves and those they had sworn to protect. The universe would never be the same, and that was exactly as it should be.